The Meaning of Mulholland Drive by David Lynch on the 25th anniversary year of its release and just over a year since he passed. Don't watch this before you see the movie. Go see the movie first, or I'm just going to ruin it for you. And by the way, this is the best explanation you're ever going to hear about it. Unless it's from me, because I'm going to do this again. Probably. Don't waste your life. This is a don't waste your life movie. Don't chase the siren songs of others. It leads to ruin. Do listen to the silence. Quiet yourself enough to hear the truth. Right? Quiet your anxiety. Slow yourself down. David Lynch was a hardcore transcendental meditator. He practiced transcendental meditation. The key is packed in cash. The key is action, and it's packed in cash. The movie opens with the Jitterbug contest. Kids dressed in the clothes of a previous generation, dancing to the music of a previous generation for the approval of a previous generation. That's what the old people are. The old couple, elderly couple. And what's interesting about this opening scene, there's no band. You can hear the music, but there's no band. There's also no ground. There's no floor. It's ungrounded. Then at the end of Betty's prologue, she collapses into the pink pillow. I think some people said they heard cocaine snorting or what. I don't remember that. It's been well over a decade since I've seen the movie. She doesn't listen. She doesn't think. She just collapses into the pink pillow. She doesn't act. She dreams. She escapes. Camilla's prologue opens in a limo on Mulholland Drive, and she's being robbed, man. She's got a gun to her. And then they're sent into a tailspin by kids wearing the clothes of a previous generation, driving the car of a previous generation, listening to the music of a previous generation, and they mess up that limo. There's a car wreck, and Camila is the only survivor, or that we know of. She survives, right? And she forgets herself. She gets amnesia. This is what gives her amnesia, but she forgets herself, which anybody that's ever read the Tao Te Ching knows forgetting yourself is repeated over and over and over again. Forget what you think you know, right? Forget it. Forget yourself. Act on the truth, right? To understand what the truth is, you've got to quiet yourself. You got to shut out the noise from other people. And then Camilla takes action. She climbs down the mountain. She's not ready to climb down a fucking mountain, but she looks out towards the light. She needs help. She needs rescue. So she rescues herself, right? She doesn't want to be there anymore. So that ends the prologue. And then we roll the credits. So in David Lynch's 10 whatever clues, there are two things revealed in the prologue or whatever it is. That's it. You got two people with two different approaches. One is listening to the siren song. The other one is doing what she's got to do. In Act 1, Camilla takes care of herself. She sneaks into an apartment that's not hers. It happens to be Betty's apartment or Betty's aunt's apartment. But she goes in there, man. She takes a shower. She takes care of her head wound. She dries off and she's discovered while she's vulnerable. And she reinvents herself, right? She doesn't know who she is, so she reinvents herself. She looks at a poster on the wall and calls herself Rita, starts wearing a blonde wig. She adapts, she overcomes, and she spends the rest of the movie trying to find herself. She does the work. Through all of Act 1, Betty, the blonde, she doesn't do anything. She thinks about everybody else but herself. Spends all of Act 1 thinking of everyone but herself. She does everything she's supposed to do, everything that's expected of her. She goes to the audition, she reads her lines, she meets whoever, the director, the agent, and all that is just Hollywood noise. That's there to illustrate the noise of that industry. So we end Act One with sex, a profoundly intimate act. And that's what makes Camilla or Rita remember the silence. She remembers Silencio's, right? In Act Two, we ambush the silence. We attack the silence. We just go after it like a hungry, horny animal, right? The camera's low to the ground, and we go up on that place like an animal. And before we even sit down, before our characters sit down, to they both sit down as blondes, but right? And before they sit down, they're told no I banda in a different language. They're told no I banda, right? There is no band. And they're told in their own language. And they're told it's all an illusion, right? It's all a performance. It's all a recording. It's all been said before. And then they illustrate the point, right? First with a trumpet player, then with Rebecca Del Rio, which is probably the most beautiful musical performance in cinematic history. But they illustrate the point twice. And they make it so that it's too obvious to ignore. And after Rebecca Del Rio collapses in the middle of the song, that's when they find the box. That's when Betty surrenders the box to Camilla, because Betty understands that she hasn't done the work and she doesn't want to do the work, probably. And she abandons it. She abandons her dreams, right? Even though she knows what she needs to do, even though she knows the secret now, there's no band. I think she realized that she's been listening to the band the whole time, and she doesn't act. She escapes, right? And then we end Act Two, Silencio scene, with Camilla going back to the borrowed apartment. She pulls out the key that they hid in the closet, the key that's packed in cash, right? And she uses the key and she opens the box. Betty's nowhere to be found. She abandoned it. And Camilla is scared, but she does it anyway, right? She opens the box. She wasn't prepared to climb down that mountain either, but she did it anyway. And down the rabbit hole we go. And that ends Act Two. Act Three is not waking up from a dream. Act One and Two is not a dream. That's garbage, right? It's just garbage. It's not a dream. Act Three is when everything flips around. It's artistic license. It's a creative choice, right? It's art. So Act Three, there's not a lot here to Act Three. There's basically the fruits of Camilla's labor, or the fruits of Rita's labor, and the consequences of Betty's inactions or actions or whatever, right? She spent her she spent her life not examining anything. She lived an unexamined life, and she played to the siren song of commerce. People who are motivated, right? People who are motivated by their own needs, not her needs, right? She never listened to her own needs. She never acted in her own interest because she could never see her own interest. She could never see the truth. She never silenced herself enough. She never cut through the noise. She never blocked it out. She never calmed herself down so she could be receptive enough to see the truth, to see herself, to see the world, right? And the path that she needed to take just never happened. She never did it. She finds her key. Betty, we see Camilla, she's a brunette again. After Silencio, she comes, back as a brunette. They both sit down as blondes, but they get up as, And Camilla's happy, married to the hot director. She's got a movie made about her, rich, successful. Now she's helping out Betty. And Betty is full of resentment and hate and depression. She can't even get herself off, right? when masturbation's lost its fun. Throw that out there at you. So she hires a hitman, and she hires a hitman to kill Camilla Rhodes, the woman that's trying to help her, the woman that can teach her how to do this. She directs her anger and despair and dread and hopelessness to hire a hitman. And everything Betty does in Act 3 is just cheap and common and easy. And she gets her cheap, easy, common house key when it's done. And when she realizes what she's done, the movie ends. And then there's a teeny tiny epilogue that says Silencios. The silence, right? Don't waste your life. Cut through the noise. Action is key. That's why this movie inspires me so much. It does. And especially for the place that I'm in right now. And if you want to hear about that, those are all in the dark room. All those videos are age restricted because they deal with deep dark trauma, very personal, vulnerable stuff, I guess. But if you're not ready for it, don't do it. My personal art philosophy is really simple. There are 5 foundational questions to art, and there are 4 critique questions that you should always ask. So what do artists do? They express vision through craft, and then viewers decide if it's art, right? So what is art? It's vision, craft, and viewer. What is art for? Art's made for our senses. Obviously our 5 physical senses, and but it's also made for our sense of humor, our sense of justice, our sense of identity, right? A stand-up comic on stage telling a joke is a perfect illustration, right? Someone had a vision, they practiced their craft and delivered it on stage. And then the audience reacted. They laughed, they didn't laugh, they decided it was funny or not. And then, why is art important? Art's important because it's not a game. There are no rules in art, right? And that's important because that mirrors life and love and war, right? Football, basketball, chess, soccer, checkers, Monopoly, whatever. They all got rules. It's important to get away from that. It's important that we practice the other side. And why is art why do we make art? We make art for the same reason we do every damn thing else, right? We make art because we want something. Every work of art that's ever been made was made because somebody wanted something, without exception. And all of these questions, I know they're right because they fit every work of art, and they always will. That's just prove me wrong. I'd love to hear it. I dare you. Prove me wrong on what this movie means. I dare you. I really do. let's right? Let's have it. So the 4 critique questions that you should always ask. 1, what's the vision? 2, how's the craft? 3, how am I reacting? And 4, why am I reacting that way? So those are my 4 questions to ask when you're critiquing art. So if you found any of this useful, buy me a coffee, man. Buy me a coffee. I need the money. Watch my story. Like, subscribe, comment, share, but this is going to be the best explanation of Mulholland Drive you'll ever see. Good night, y'all.